Hi, my name is Carrie Vanderbeck. I tried very, very hard to do my Prezi video with my Prezi presentation, but I'm on a cruise ship and the computers are not cooperating, and of course my laptop decided to die, so here we are doing it on an iPad. Anyway, I'm doing this presentation on information literacy, and the grade level that I'm focusing on is second grade because that's the grade that I teach. I thought that I would get the most out of it doing it that way. So I have some headings here: finding information online, determining credibility and quality, and fair use and copyright. And then of course, references, because we can't plagiarize. So my little subtitle here is starting young to build skills that they will need for a successful future. Because once they get into middle school and high school, they're going to need to be able to critically analyze those resources and use them without plagiarizing. So here we go. For finding information online with second graders, it's really difficult because I mentioned that down here, but really with my second graders in my class, they can't read well. So not only am I expecting them to read, but I'm expecting them to read critically and to think about specific words to use. That can be really, really hard for them. But it is an essential skill. They are, the days of going to the library and just looking at an encyclopedia are really, like, in the past. They're not something that these kids are doing. So we have to teach them how to search online. We have to teach them how to be safe. And I have a couple kid-safe search engines here. And then one of the big suggestions that I found in the teacher blogs as I was reading was to use familiar websites that the kids are already familiar with, and they may not be what you would think. I know with my kiddos, I started with BrainPop Junior last week before spring break, so they were kind of just perusing BrainPop Junior, picking a topic, and then they were doing their research from there. The big drawback from that is they can't be like, I wonder why it rains more when it's warm, or why does it get cool right before it rains. They can't look for a specific question. They kind of have to develop a question after they started looking at the resource. So that was familiar websites. Don't know how to work. There we go. And that's where I was just talking about the teacher blogs that I read, and then the challenges that I mentioned. And then down here for the kid-friendly safe search engines, these are really frustrating for me as a grown-up because I really just want to be able to type what year was Abraham Lincoln born and get the answer. But for them, we need to protect them. We need to make sure that they're not getting into a rabbit hole of inappropriate content. So I have some recommendations down here. It's Kiddle.co, kidrex.org, and kidtopia.info. All of those will filter the information that comes into them and make sure that they are safely searching online. So the next one is determining credibility and quality, and I already hit on this just a little bit. This is really, really hard for second graders because, like I said, they have a hard time reading, much less reading critically enough to decide whether the information they're reading meets their criteria to answer their question, or even looking into the author to see how credible they are to write about that source. So it is really, really hard for them. But Kathleen Morris is one of the teachers that I follow. She's from Australia. She came up with a flow chart to evaluate websites, and I know it's probably hard for you to see. I will be sharing a link with this video with the video, but so they open the site, they skim read it, and then they start answering the questions. Does this answer my question? Yes or no? Is this a credible author site? Yes or no? Does the purpose of this site meet my needs? Yes or no? Is this information current enough? So it's really simple, just 4 questions for them to use to determine whether that's a useful tool for their topic. And then this kind of goes through what I just said. She recommends that you skim the source, and then you answer the questions on the flowchart. And then I listed some other questions that you could use if you wanted to make your own flowchart. Does this text answer my question? Is this answer supported by 2 or more other resources? That's one that I had my second graders do because if more than one author says it, it's more likely to be true. It's not some, far out answer that someone just came up with. Is the author reliable, and is the website reliable? And then they may not understand what is meant by the word reliable, so you'll need to explicitly teach that. And here we go through that again. Okay, and then for fair use and copyright, from what I've read, it seems like anything my second graders are going to do is covered under fair use, but anything that was the intellectual property of someone else is likely to be copyrighted and protected. If I made a cake, you wouldn't come just take a piece of my cake without asking me first. That's the analogy that I use with the my second graders, because they understand, you know, when I make something, it's mine. They just have to start to understand that if I make something online, that's mine also. But basically, if they're using it for the purpose of research and education, and they're not selling a product or hurting the creator in any way financially, then more than likely it's covered under fair use. They do still need to cite where they got those resources, though, and we've started a little symbol system with my second graders. It looks a little different as you get older, but they use sticky notes and symbols to show where they cite their information from. So in their text, they would have a sticky note with a star, and then they put a little star symbol in the writing, and that shows that that star goes with the resource that they used. And then here are the references that I used. Again, I'm going to share a link to this presentation with my video. But thank you for watching. I'm sorry for my technical difficulties. And I hope you're having a great spring break. I hope you're actually having spring break. But thank you for watching again, and I hope you learned something, hope you find it useful. Bye!